Hey, what's up, everybody? We back. Welcome to the I've Been Falsely Accused Part 13. This is the Conversations with Cogee show. Now, the I've Been Falsely Accused 13, Part 13. This is another chapter that me and Jeffrey are putting in our books. You know, we definitely bring in through great guests, but we bring in through people that's been definitely falsely accused of something where they done lost so much time out of their lives, where they done been, you know, looked at as the bad guy, but not looked at as, you know, maybe this could have happened, maybe it didn't. No, it's like, no, we got a case against you. It is what it is. You are the bad guy. You know, and that's what me and Jeffrey want y'all to understand, that when it comes to supporting the I've Been Falsely Accused show, TV show, everything that me and Jeffrey's set up to do right now, don't do it because you like us. Don't do it because, you know, you feel sorry for other people. Do it because it's the right thing to do. It's just the right thing to do. Jeffrey's been through hell to come out of hell, to do his thing and get on the right track. And every day he gets up, every morning his feet hit the floor. Jeffrey is definitely trying to save as many lives as he can, because once upon a time, his life was dangling. His life was the one right caught in the trap. So with this whole situation that me and Jeffrey's trying to do right now, we just want y'all to have a compassionate heart. We want y'all to know that when y'all like the show, or when y'all roll with us, you know, on our topics and whatever we doing, you're doing it because you know it's the right thing to do, because it could happen to your children. It could happen to your husband, your wife, you know, anybody in your family. It could happen to one of your loved ones, one of your friends, and they could be taken away and erased over nothing. But when we got a program and we got something set in stone that can help, that can fight, and that can get right on it immediately, it'll make maybe a lot of people's time a lot shorter, where they don't have to spend 24 years or 9 years or 8 years or 7 years behind bars. That's a lot of wasted life. And that's what we're trying to do on this show. Now, we got Miss Julie Baumer with us. Julie, how you doing today?
Very well, thank you.
All right. Did I say your last name right?
Yeah, Baumer.
Baumer. Okay. All right. So, Julie, what did you think about the first hour of the show?
I thought it was pretty well presented.
Thank you. And, you know, we like I said, I think you're a great guest on the show. I love how you get to the point. You'll say what you got to say. Boom. Then you come right out and, you know, you waiting for us to ask you the next question. And, you know, that shows that you're very prepared. And that shows that, you know, everything that you're saying is your truth. Because whenever I have somebody on the show, I can always tell when I'm interviewing them how confident they are about the whole situation. And you are very confident. And I think, you know, you're a great added attraction to the show today.
Well, I appreciate that boost of confidence. Thank you.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Now, I got some ladies on my show today that would like to ask you questions, and they definitely would like to shower you with a lot of lady love today, starting with Miss Peaches. How you doing today?
Can you hear me all right?
I can hear you.
Okay. I'm doing great. And how's everybody out there?
Oh, we doing fine. So Miss Peaches, what would you like to say to Julie?
Well, Julie, Cogee, I was having technical difficulties at the beginning of the show, but I know the premise of the show and I understand, you know, what's going on. And I just want to offer Julie she inspires me to keep going and be strong. And I want her to keep her head up through all the struggles. And I know that each day is, you know, a journey. And I know some days are easier than others. So when those days are rough, you know, you have people on your side that are praying for you and holding you up in their strength when you can't find it for yourself.
Well, thank you, Peaches. I appreciate that. Likewise.
You're welcome.
Now, let me come back to Peaches real quick, and then I'm going to come to Foxy. Peaches, Julie said that when she was in prison, somebody had leaked her case out. And everything was cool for a while, and somebody found out about her case, and they leaked it out. When they leaked it out, you know, women was pointing at her, they was whispering, they was saying all kind of disrespectful stuff to her, but she kept her head up, and she never let them break her, and she never had any confrontation. She held her ground. Now, how hard can you imagine that would be in prison? Because think of how hurtful it is just being out on the street, and people treat you like that. So what do you think about that, Miss Peaches?
Well, I mean, I applaud her for being so strong and not falling into the pitfalls, because obviously the problem that they had is that she had a chance. She had a chance to get out and have a life. And when you're wrongfully, convicted like that, I know in your heart you always hold that close, that the truth is going to have to set you free. Unfortunately, there are a lot of women in jail and men in jail or prison that are guilty, and they don't have that glimmer of hope like they're ever going to get out. But if they did the crime, then they have to do the time. So I just want to applaud you, because I can only imagine how hard that would be to hold your temper, or hold your grace, everything, and get through it. And that's a big lesson for our young women and women of any age.
And she lost her son
Well,
in
yeah,
the court
thank you.
case.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
just,
he was
it's
adopted out
unbelievable.
before I was even convicted.
Oh, he was?
Yeah, so it shows that there's a little corruption in other systems too.
Wow. That's so sad. So let me do this real quick. Let's go to Foxy. Foxy, what would you like to say to Julie?
Hi, Julie. How you doing?
Very well, thank you, and yourself.
I need you to let me go first, and then Miss Peaches, because she just goes on and on. And I can't match up to what she be saying after.
It's your heart.
I know I have to.
Yeah.
So if I could go first,
Pull Miss Anand's mic down real quick.
if I could go before Miss Peaches, because she got it all under. She's got it going on. I would appreciate that. But Julie,
Yes.
when you said you got down on your knees to God and asked Him to forgive you, and everything started changing for you, what could you have possibly? You said you was doing things before in your other life that you thought 15 years wasn't enough, was too much, but what you did, and if He would forgive you, you wouldn't go that route anymore. What did you do before those 15 years, like in your past life?
No, she said whatever I may have done.
Or whatever you had.
Yeah,
made.
when you're growing up and you're trying to find yourself, and everybody makes a little mistake.
That's right.
They might sleep with somebody they shouldn't, or they
Right.
might go on and use a drug they shouldn't, or they might have one too many cocktails and they shouldn't. It's all about growing up trying to find yourself.
Right.
That's what I was referring to.
Yeah, I know. Did you?
Right.
You possibly had your son, and you thought maybe you did something wrong, and he was punishing you
Oh,
for
no,
that.
no. I wasn't referring to Philip at all. No.
Okay, I'm just saying, like, your past life, that God would punish you for like 15 years.
I was thinking in my earlier 20s, ma'am,
Right.
and all of this happened in my late 20s.
Oh, okay.
So, there was some maturing as you go on, if you will. Like I said, it's about growing up.
Yeah, I know that.
Mhm.
Okay.
Okay. Miss Anand, what would you like to say to Julie?
First of all, hi, Judy.
Julie.
Judy?
Lou. Julie.
Julie.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm just so happy to hear you speaking so highly about, how you found God, even though you doubted Him a little bit. But at the end, it seems like you made some kind of commitment with Him, and you found yourself, and things start to change for you, And I'm glad that you kept the faith and you didn't indulge in the other inmates, about what you was carrying and what your case was about, because it could have been worse, And because
absolutely.
you kept the faith and you kept to yourself, that made a difference, So I'm very proud of you of that. And now I'm sure that you're going to be a good spiritual inspiration for other inmates. And
Sure.
I mean, you really touched me.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Continue the good works.
Thank you. You too.
All right. So now we're going to come back in. I just want to say this real quick. Julie, when you was in was it anybody that you bonded with that you still write right now and you still hold them up, with letters and pictures, or once you was out of there, you just broke free?
No, because you do have to form a bond with, a few people. It's not, if not anybody, at least just one, because you need that sounding board. You need that human compatibility. You need somebody to, keep that mind stimulated. But there were several people. When I say several, we're talking probably 20 or 30 that I actively stay in contact with whether it's not what they would want entirely, and it's not. There's only 24 hours in the day, so I try not to write letters because I can't share good news because I don't want to brag. I don't want to share bad news because I don't want them to feel it. So I just keep to short cards, a few pictures here. They're a magazine subscription. I just keep up on them, what they need, what I can do for them.
That's right. I hear you. Now, one more thing I want to ask you, then get ready, Jeffrey. I'm coming to you. Who are the people that you want to thank right now? I mean, you really want to thank God for these people. Right now, I'm going to let you definitely shout out.
The University of Michigan Innocence Clinic, David Moran, Bridget McCormick at the time. She was active, and now that she's sitting on the courts. And, of course, Heather Kirkwood, Seattle-based attorney specializing in child abuse. And Carl Marlinga, former prosecutor turned defense attorney, now judge. Thank you. He was the criminal. He was lead counsel on my second trial. And Charles Lugosi, formerly of Ave Maria School of Law, who I initially contacted and took this case and then started branching out asking for help, and he got it.
Okay, there it is. And we definitely thankful for them, too, because they do show that the system does work when you got people behind it, that's going to fight the right way to save your life. You agree?
Absolutely.
There it is. Mr. Jeffrey.
Yeah, Julie, when we were at the conference, you told me about an aspect of your case that even I can't say I was surprised by it, but it was somewhat shocking. I wanted to share with everybody why is it, and what were the circumstances around why you had to go through a second trial as opposed to the district attorney just doing the right thing and dismissing the case? Could you break all that down, please?
Well, yeah. Originally, like I said, they gave my one attorney, Carl Marlinga at the time. He was the local attorney, and a gentleman's agreement. Yeah, okay. If the judge, wants to let her go, great. We won't pursue this. But of course, they immediately after the judge made his decision to overturn my conviction, pretty much like literally the next day, they tried to. They wanted to appeal that, if you will. And so, in fact, they did start appealing it, and they informed my people that they were going to recharge me when I got out. That's why I guess I had to stay there for another week waiting for a court date to come out so I could get recharged and get bonded out. But during, if I think in my memory, correct me if I'm wrong, if I'm going in the wrong direction, I think what you're trying to get at is, before my second trial started, the DA and the lower prosecutor, they both knew of my innocence. But again, I'll remind you, ironically, for the prosecutor, that was an election year. And so he basically says, I know she's not guilty, but it's an election year. I have to stay tough on crime. So I'm going to have the jury tell her, or I'm going to have the jury tell the public, because then it's going to mess up, my image. I have to stay tough on crime. And see, that's a poor attitude right there to convey to the public, because that's not what our justice system should be about. You don't go for 100% conviction rate. Then why have trials? Why not just go on and say, gee, we think you did this, here's your sentence? Why go through all of that if you're trying for a 100% conviction rate? So it's an ass-backwards system, and I hope that one day that can get changed.
That's right. I hear you. What'd you think, Jeffrey?
Yeah, that was the point I was going to make. And the thing is that to try somebody, even though you're convinced that they're innocent, I mean, that's an unconscionable act. And even though it turned out that Julie was found not guilty, they subjected her not just to the mental anguish of going through another trial, but anything could have happened during that trial. There's a possibility she could have gotten wrongfully convicted again.
Oh, absolutely.
That's right. You're right about that. You're definitely right about that. Now, Jeffrey, I want to ask you and Julie a question. I want y'all's take on this, both of y'all, because y'all both, they've been falsely accused and then beat the odds. Do you think they should take the terminology, a jury of your peers, out of the whole equation?
I think so, because, Cogee, I didn't know anybody on my jury. They didn't live around the They didn't live in the same neighborhood that I lived.
That's right.
Heck, they weren't even from the same city.
That's right. Didn't graduate with you or nothing.
Much different. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I said didn't graduate with you or nothing.
No, absolutely not. No, I was a teenager, and these were all people in their 50s and 60s, and all these type of advanced college degrees, which is a great thing in and of itself. But at the same time, they're not comparable to me in my educational level and age.
That's right. You're right about that, Julie.
Yeah, I agree completely, 100%. Because circumstances being different in every case or whatnot. During the first trial, they come out with a jury pool of about 150, and you sit there and you pick your jury as long as it takes. And we almost went through the whole pool because automatically people just assumed guilt. And when they were asked that during their interview to see if they were qualified to sit on that jury, would you convict her? Yes. So they had to keep booting them out. And we thought we were going to have to ask for a second pool. How long is this going to take to find 12 people who can sit there and listen to the facts and not judge until that time to judge?
That's right.
And and then even sadly, even more sad, there was a word that there was a recess during these proceedings, and this one lady who was still in the process of being interviewed. She was overheard. I don't remember who overheard it, but it got back to the judge, and she was ultimately dismissed. She thought this was like a game. Like, I don't know what life she lived or why she thought this was so exciting, but she was like, "Oh wow, I want to convict just to convict." That was her attitude. Like, "Wow, this is fun."
Oh,
completely ignoring the fact that you have to you're doing a duty for your society. And you're sitting up here and acting like it's a Jerry Springer show or something,
Oh, that's a dangerous jury person, huh?
Absolutely. And just imagine if somebody hadn't heard her. She was known as the Lady in Yellow. She was wearing yellow.
Oh, wow. Now, let me ask you this, Julie, real quick. Miss Peaches, I want you to get ready because I'm coming to you next. I know you want to ask Julie something. So, Julie, how did you do your time? How did you do your time and not let your time do you? What all did you do while you was in prison?
I lived as normal as I could, if you will. A lot of people, they get into the motion of, sleeping in and being lazy and just sitting in front of that TV all day. But no, I maintained a schedule that I would, as I did on the outside. I got up in the morning, I did my chores, I went to work, I came back, I did some more chores, I walked the track, I exercised, I read, and I listened to AM radio and went to bed. I did that every night. That was my schedule.
I hear you.
I didn't engage in any of those other activities like, you have to do your occasional card game or whatnot to keep the politics up, if you will. You can't shun everybody because then, they're going to start, wondering why. But you have to, I didn't go on and get into any of whatever people do in there to go to SEG and everything else. I didn't get into any of that.
I hear you. But
trying to set people up and everything.
Right. What did you see in there as far as violence where you was like, oh my goodness, this is like...
I saw the lock in the sock, and that wasn't fun.
A lock in the sock?
They throw a lock in the side, your padlock from off of your foot locker.
And whoop you with the sock.
They sure do.
Wow. Miss Peaches, chime in.
I wanted to ask you, Julie, if I may, did you ever at any point have any thoughts of suicide? And if you did or you didn't, what advice would you give to young women, because you endured hell. So even for young women that have not been to jail or prison, what would be your advice on that topic?
No, I absolutely never at any point was suicidal. And I don't know if you had heard the part of the show where I'd mentioned that somebody, just to stick it to me deeper, had mentioned, somebody told them that, hey, if the verdict comes back guilty, there's word out that she's suicidal, and that's how they, were just able to do whatever they wanted to do with me. But no, at no point ever was I suicidal because I had to keep a positive attitude in my mind because I knew that I had to get out of this. I knew that I was innocent, and I knew that I had to prove this. And if I sat up there and gave in to depression and oh boy, all of that crap, I would have never, because I got myself out. My family didn't get myself out. Nobody else got me out. I got myself out. They all just accepted it like, okay, it is what it is. No, I was the one that wrote the attorneys. I was the one that kept hassling people. Hey, listen to me. So, and if I didn't do that for myself, I would still be in there until 2020.
You know what? And now let me piggyback off something Ms. Peach just said real quick. Julie, what would be your advice to young women that's doing all kind of stuff in the streets right now that don't understand prison?
What type of advice would I give?
Like,
you know what? Can you? Yeah, I'm not really sure what angle you're going at.
Because they seem to think going to jail is a game. I see girls on YouTube, F jail, I ain't scared of no jail, I'm this, I'm that. What don't they understand about when those bar doors slam?
They're probably saying that because they never went. And if they did go and they still had that attitude, then they probably should go back, because then they are a menace to society.
That's right.
Because anybody with that attitude is not going to contribute positively to anybody's situation. So they haven't been if they have that attitude. And if they have, like I said, if they have been, it's just not right. So it's unfortunate that some people do feel that, young kids, they think that it's cool to go on and, do this and do that to try to get but it's just a way that they're trying to get attention. And unfortunately, it goes back into their own personal history and whatever that may be that forces them to have to go out and get that type of attention. So, that's a whole different topic, a whole different thing,
That's right. Now, let me go to you and Jeffrey on this question right here. I see now on TV they brung the Scared Straight program back out, which I think is a great thing. But children nowadays already know that the inmates are not allowed to touch them. All they're going to do is, one young guy said, I already know what they're going to get in my face. They're going to scream. They're going to cuss. They're going to tell us why we shouldn't be here. Do y'all think the Scared Straight program works nowadays? Starting with you, Julie, then I'm coming to you, Jeff.
Well, I'll tell you, I don't watch a lot of television, so I personally haven't seen the program, but I do know what you're referring to. But, with the child going in there with that attitude, like, oh, they can't touch me, so this isn't going to faze me. Well, okay, that can be your attitude now. But as soon as you turn 18 and you keep up that behavior, you're going to go someplace else, and guess what they're going to tell you then? We're not always here to protect you. Watch your own back. And guess what? They're not always going to be there to protect you, and you're not going to watch your back because you're going to still have that poor-ass attitude, and then you'll learn your lesson. You might learn your lesson.
That's right. Because on one series I watched the other night, the inmate told the young dude that was getting smart with him. He said, "You know what? You 17 and you're going to be 18 next month, right?" And he's like, "Yeah. What of it?" He said, "Oh, no. I'm just making sure I know, because you'll be back. And when you come back, exactly, I'll be waiting." 4 inmates in there said, "When you come back, we'll be waiting. No matter if we ain't on your tier," this is what they said, "no matter if we ain't on your tier or where you are, we going to make sure you face one of us 4 before you leave." And the dude froze. The young dude just froze.
I'm sure he did.
Because that was reality. Julie, you was really right with what you said. That was reality sinking in, saying, okay, yeah, you're right. I am leaving right back out this door today, but the next time I come back, I'm open game.
Right.
Jeffrey, what you think?
Cogee, I don't think that in general, it's hard to make any across-the-board statement in anything, really. But I think in general, I don't believe that the Scared Straight program really works.
Break it down to us.
I don't. Yeah, because when I was in prison, there were guys that used to participate in the Scared Straight program as prisoners, and they would come back and tell stories of interacting with some of the troubled youth that were coming into the prison, and some of them were actually talking smart to the prisoners there,
right.
And I just can't imagine that somebody would do that if they really were fearful. And that's what the whole premise of that concept is. It's on the idea that you'll be fearful of the environment, part of which involves being afraid of the other prisoner. So if that's absent, I don't see how that helps deter anybody.
That's right. I mean, you're definitely right about that. Okay, well, now what I want to do, I want to go to Julie real quick. Julie, what have you done moving forward since you've been out of prison? Tell us about your accomplishments, and you also have a book, right?
Oh, yeah, I've had a book, but, I've had my share of trials and tribulations, if you will. When you get out, as an innocent person, you don't have any resources. If I had gotten out as a guilty person and been paroled, they would have given me the world, I guess. But I went out the doors empty-handed. So I immediately had it was like bringing myself back from the dead, if you will. I had to, it was like starting from scratch. You have to get an ID. You have to get your identity back. You have to get yourself situated somewhere to live and somewhere, how are you going to eat and this and that. And so you go through the motions every day and start building your life back. It's like they give you your life in like a puzzle in a bag, and they're like, go build it, go have fun. So that's what you have to do. And I was 4 years. It's been 4 years since I came home. I just purchased a house in December. It took me 4 years to build my credit back up, and
congratulations.
To get myself in the financial position that I left in, if you will. So. And I've also been able to maintain meaningful employment. So, but yeah, I wrote a book in prison, and I put it on the market a couple of years ago through Amazon. It was just a suspense novel.
Do you still have it where people can purchase that book?
Yes, through Amazon.
Okay, what's the name of it and websites? I mean, throw it all out there. We celebrating you today, girl.
It's completely unrelated to my case. It was just a fictitious novel that I wrote. I wrote a lot in there about experiences in there, as a way to, as a relief to cope with everything that I was going through. So I needed some form of outlet, so that's what I did. I wrote, and I took that, and I titled it An Undeserved Sentence. If you ever do read it, you'll understand the title. So.
Okay. So, what would be your words of encouragement, again, to our youth?
Educate yourself. Because if you educate yourself, then you're unable to get blindsided and get caught up into things that, that aren't going to lead you in the right direction. Mm-hmm. Be the leader instead of the follower.
That's right.
And lead people in the right direction.
That's right.
Just keep, and then of course everybody's going to have their obstacles, but sometimes if that obstacle's in your family, you might have to break away from your family. So look for other positive people, and wherever you can find them, and just piggyback off of whatever they're doing, and try to learn something. Try to learn something positive.
And you know what? One more thing I want to ask you. Whatever happened to your nephew?
He was adopted out, and he's currently 10 years old. He was diagnosed with cerebral palsy when he was 6 months old. So he has some limitations. I don't have access to him, but from what I hear, because the adoptive family is still under the belief and the assumption that I'm guilty, so I'm a monster in their eyes. Mm. But from what I hear, he's got little leg braces he walks with, and he's limited. He's got some limitations. To the extent of them, I haven't personally seen, so I don't know.
Oh, wow. How does that make you feel, still as a mom, because in your soul and your spirit, you're still a mom to him. How does that make you feel to know that you can't do nothing for him at all, and you have so much love to give for him?
It tears me up every day. That's my biggest cross, and it'll be with me for the rest of my life.
What are some of the things you'll never forget about him, that even when you was in jail and you would lay in bed, you could kind of smile and just laugh to yourself, to keep up?
I only had him for the first 5 weeks of his life. But, newborns sleep a lot. But
right.
I used to doll him up in some cute outfits, and I got some good pictures of him and whatnot. There's some good memories.
Right. I hear you.
Real interaction. You're tending to him, tending to his needs.
I hear you. Jeffrey, what would you like to say?
Yeah, I wanted to ask Julie a question. What would you say to mothers, to babysitters, to other women about how much of what happened to you could happen to them, and they're just totally unaware? Is there a danger inherent in even just doing something as innocent as babysitting, watching a kid?
Good question.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, there's another case out there, Audrey Edmonds. She was convicted of shaken baby syndrome, if you will, and she was, she's out in Wisconsin. She was ultimately exonerated through new evidence coming through medical people, as such as in my case. It could happen to anybody. Like I said earlier, because they based it off the last person that's with the child. If my father had taken him into the hospital because he was the last person, he would be in my shoes. If my mother, if my sister, if my girlfriend and her husband, if they had watched the babies, one of them would have been in it. They would have got drug into it. Anybody. Whoever's the last person with the child, that's who they go after.
That's right.
Yes, it can happen to anybody. Just try to, if something does happen and you didn't do anything wrong, get a lawyer. Don't ever talk to the police without a lawyer for anything. And then have that lawyer educate himself on what you may think what's going on, because that's what happened with my first attorney. He wasn't educated enough as to what was going on. He was a little over his head. And so he didn't realize the extent of the medical, and that we were going to need medical experts and whatnot. So it's unfortunate he had that flaw. But, just because you're going to go out, you can go out and buy the best attorney, but if they're not familiar with exactly what's going on in that case, have them get help. Tell them, please help. I hired you to get somebody to defend me. Now, do what you got to do. So, but just be prepared. Just be prepared and keep yourself educated. So, never stop doing research on your own.
That's right. Julie, now let me ask you this. If you had to do this whole case over again, now that you've been through it, how would you have fought this case and not went through as much as you went through? Now that you're educated.
Oh, gosh. I don't know. I can't answer that because I thought the first time around I was prepared.
Right.
I wasn't. I didn't see a court. Well, I didn't see my trial. It was 18 months from the time I was charged from the time that I was actually convicted. I had to wait 18 months for my trial to come about, and so for 18 months being out on bond, waiting for that trial, living, trying to live a normal life, I would, go Google this or go Google that or something, and then I would take it to my lawyer and I would help him build our case. It's just unfortunate that, he didn't do his work, so it's unfortunate.
Right. Is it hard for you to watch prison movies, with women or anything like that right now?
No, because prison is not like movies. I mean, they might depict some characters that are in there or whatnot, but no, it's, at least the two facilities I was in, I shouldn't say all prisons. I'm only referencing to what I experienced. They're like tiny little dorms, but you're just locked in.
Right.
You're locked in yourself for X amount of hours. But then when you're out and about, you got your rec room, you got your chow hall. It's like a little city. Mm-hmm. You got little buildings, you got your school building, you got your rec building and this and that. But you're not free to walk about. You always have to have a pass for something. And you can always lose that opportunity to get that pass. So.
Wow. So what I want to do, I want to come back around to the team and let the team, ask you a question because the time is winding down. Miss Hanan, is there anything you would like to ask Julie before the time wind down?
Yeah, I wanted to know, even though you you're out now, and you say that you do get in touch with some of the women that you befriended there. Are you allowed to go visit them?
Oh, yeah, I'm allowed to visit them, but in the state of Michigan, unless you're a lawyer or you're clergy, you're only allowed to be on one prisoner's visitors list. So it's like if I know, Joe in this prison, I can't go visit Karen in this prison. So, and you definitely can't go visit Karen and Jane. That's a big no-no. So, two people at the same facility, you can only be cleared for one inmate in the state of Michigan. So no, I don't visit people, because how can you pick out of all of them? They would all hate each other, or they would all go crazy. So you can't do that.
Oh, okay.
Okay. There it is.
They
Foxy.
understand that too. It is what it is,
Yeah.
I hear you. Foxy.
Okay, Julie, now that you're out into public and you have a job, is it hard for you to trust people on your job or when you in the community?
Good question.
Trust people in what reference?
Just all around trust, through what you've been through with prison and everything.
Well, sure, because a lot of people let me down, in different capacities, like my lawyer not doing his job. So it's like now you look at lawyers, all lawyers, and you double question, do they really know what they're talking about? In any capacity, yeah, you lose a lot of trust because you're told one thing and then another thing happens. And so it's just like you're like, okay, well, you're only going back to what you know because that's the way it is. So yeah, you lose a lot of trust with people. It's hard to trust, absolutely.
Okay.
Miss Peaches.
What I wanted to ask you, Miss Julie, is do you wish that there was a program that would offer some sort of help or therapy in getting the family back together, as far as with your nephew being able to, like you said, the adoptive family, they still feel you're guilty in their eyes. Do you wish there was some way for there to be a mediator in between to be able to patch the relationships back together?
Well, yeah, absolutely. And
Good question.
some time has gone by now. It would almost be silly to sit there and try to live in that past. I mean, you got to be serious and stay in reality. It's been 4 years since I've been home, almost 9 since my conviction. So, and I haven't seen him in 10 years. So, for me to sit up there and be like, let's go out and find an attorney and demand that I get to see him every week, he doesn't know me. He wouldn't even care, because he doesn't know me. So, but after my second trial and after my conviction was overturned, I did attempt to make contact and say, okay, let's do birthdays, holidays, something like that. I'm not trying to have you in my life, vice versa. I just want, I want that bridge between the family, because not only did I lose a nephew/son, if you will, but my father lost a grandson, my mother lost a grandson, my sisters lost their nephew, my other nephew lost a brother. I mean, so it's like everybody was affected by this. It wasn't just me. So, but currently, if the adoptive family comes out and says, hey, we've now decided that, we would like to, invite you into our lives or this or that, no, I would certainly not turn down the opportunity. But no, I'm not going to break my neck to try to reverse what the reality is today.
Okay. You got another question real quick, Miss Peaches?
No, not a question. I just wanted to tell Miss Julie thank you very much, and I really hope the best, and I really hope that at some point you can have a relationship with your nephew again, because I do believe that you deserve it, and you don't deserve to be treated, as a guilty person when everything is right there showing that you're not. So I really hope the best for you in that.
Well, thank you very much, and I do have a relationship with him in my memory, and unfortunately that's the extent of it.
Yeah.
Okay, there it is. Jeffrey.
Julie, do you find that there's a post-exoneration stigma? Like there's people that may have some lingering doubts, whether you really are guilty and just somehow got off on some sort of technicality, or people leery of you, think that you're dangerous. anything like that based on your having been wrongfully convicted?
I haven't directly experienced anybody coming up to me and saying, "Oh, we still think you're guilty," other than the family indirectly by my finding out about it through, news articles and whatnot. But no, I haven't really experienced any too much prejudice, if you will. You still get the occasional people from my past. After I came home, there might be a couple of people, they still give the cold shoulder, and you have to, I haven't outright confronted them like, hey, what's going on here? You just, you just sort of, let them stay in their direction and you stay in yours, because it's public information. My gosh, it was a public trial. Go read the transcripts. Go read, educate yourself on the case.
That's
if
right.
you, in your heart, want to believe that, oh wow, I'm really guilty, I'm really capable of something of that, then you live with that. But I'm not going to live with that. So, no, I haven't experienced anything negative so profoundly, if you will.
Okay. There it is. So, Julie, we down to short time now. And, like I said, we really do thank you for coming through today. And we definitely thank you for staying with us for 2 hours. And like I said earlier, when I had talked to you on the phone, whenever you accomplish something, we want you to still get in touch with us. And we definitely want to celebrate, you as you grow, because you out. You know what I'm saying? We want to show that exonerees can get out and have a great life again, even if it has to start over. And I know sometimes it's a turbulence flight, you know what I'm saying, for y'all to get back on track. But it can be done, and it has been done. You get what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
And, we definitely want to celebrate you in that way as well.
Well, I appreciate that. Thank you.
And what would be your words of encouragement to our listeners, Julie, before you go?
Just keep the faith. Keep the faith. That's all you can do. Just know that you may not agree with God's plan, but you're in the plan. Whether or not you like it, you're in the plan. So just go with it.
I hear you. You definitely right about that. Well, like I said, you've been a great guest, and I'm gonna definitely get in touch with you again. And like I said, I definitely want to talk to you, about some other things that we can do together, because I'm sure you want to keep putting that word out there, and you want to keep helping your fellow exonerees.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we'll talk to you soon, and we really do appreciate you.
Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you. Have a nice day. All right. So, everybody, that was Miss Julie Baumer, and she definitely, is on the right track. We sorry to hear about what she went through, but that's why we have these shows. I've been falsely accused, part 13 today. We definitely want people to see that this is real. When these people come on the show and they talk to me and Jeffrey, these are real stories. These are hurtful, touching stories, that somebody went through. What else, Jeffrey? What else should people understand about why we do this show?
This can happen to anyone.
That's right. You're definitely right about that. So we want y'all to stay locked in, tuned in, and we'll be right back. And when we come back, we definitely have, Mr. Jeffrey Deskovic. He's definitely going to bring us up to speed. He's going to tell us about, some new things that he's got going. He's going to tell us about some new people that have been exonerated, and, just how hard Jeffrey works. And that's what I want y'all to understand. And that's why in the third hour, that's always Jeffrey's hour. No matter who we got on or what we got going, Jeffrey definitely needs his hour, because even an hour ain't enough for Jeffrey with what he does, all through the month, and what he's trying to, put us up on. That's why we also doing the show next Monday is I've Been Falsely Accused, Part 14. We got a lot of other people lined up on deck that really want to get on the show, and that's going to be a packed show. And, we really want y'all to understand this is why we do this show, because a lot of people are going through a lot, but every story that we bring through here, one of them just might hit home and make you all wake up and make you all understand that me and Jeffrey, we really need your help. We really need the help. Like I said, if you can't do it just because you like us or whatever you might feel, do it out of compassion. Do it out of love, supporting this situation, because you never know when this situation is going to hit home. And then why let it hit home and you not be prepared for it than to hit home and already be able to say, well, I'm a part of this organization, that Jeffrey and Cogee has. I'm already in the mix. So with you being in the mix, all you got to do is reach out to us, because you're already a family member. What's wrong with going and give us a like? What's wrong with saying some kind words on the website about what we doing? Now, to the people that don't do it, hey, it's cool. We can't worry about that. Only thing me and Jeffrey got to do, and that we're going to do, we're going to keep fighting, because we know we're going to break through. We know great things are going to happen. They might not happen in man's times, but they're going to happen in the right time. And that's what it's about. So y'all stay locked in and stay tuned in. And Mr. Jeffrey Deskovic is definitely in the third hour, and he's ready to bring it strong and bring us up to speed. All right, we'll be right back.